we see you before us in a realized state. We recognize how choices have been made through historical data. We support you in a higher choice. I may know myself in high choice. I may claim myself in a new way. I may align to the new potential that is available to me through my agreement to it. The challenge, as we have stated prior for almost all of you, is that you summon the options available to you from a list made up from old ideas, what was available once, what others said should be, and how you believed yourself to be in accord with the world where only certain choices are applicable. When one realizes herself in the upper room and one claims herself in an awareness of the source of all things, God is, God is, God is, one begins to align to potential that exists beyond the fabric of what has been claimed as a common field or reality as you have chosen to know it. Now, to move beyond the common field is not to abandon it, it's simply to transform your relationship to it, how things occur, what things mean, and indeed, perhaps how things are known. To be known means to be realized. And when you realize what was through the old language and the old vibrational agreements that they have accrued throughout time, the labels that they have claimed, the judgments that have been made upon them, you actually inherit the very things that told the old things in the old alignment. In other words, that evil man becomes that evil man in perpetuity. When you realign to the higher and you reclaim the human being that may have done the evil things, you can move beyond your relationship to the negativity that you have ascribed, and the man himself may become reknown or reclaimed in the higher octave. The point of this really is to remind you that everything that you see before you on any given day has been agreed to and given language to by those who came before you. The street that you live on, a common agreement to a street, or the country, or the continent, or even the world. You understand your world perhaps as one of many, and you understand the components of a world, earth and water. You understand what exists as weather, and you understand your agreement to all of these things, which is the alignment that you hold. And the alignment that you hold has indeed been claimed by those who came before you and are indeed perpetuated through your expectations of them. Now, when a world is changing, when the old is seeking to release and the new is seeking to be born, there is indeed confusion. Imagine you are halfway out a door while you are still holding one part of your body in the old room. The self that seems to seek the new is still confounded by her inability to relinquish the ideas that she has held about what things have been, what they have meant, and how she should adhere to the expectations that were inherited by her upon birth and upon agreement to a journey in a common field. Imagine a town where everybody knows the names of the street. You move into this town, you learn the names of the street that the others have governed the streets with. You understand yourself as a citizen of that town, and you obey the laws or the rules or the agreements of the townspeople. When you move to the upper room, the names are not present as they were. Your relationship to the streets may be other, and the town itself is not the town that you thought it was. Reclamation, or the act of reclaiming in the upper room from the upper room, is the act of participation in the higher octave. Participation is key. You are participating in the claiming of a new world. You are participating through agreement and vibrational accord. This is not escapism, nor is it trespassing on some idea of some alternate reality. The alternate reality that you're beginning to experience is actually the true reality that has been present but has been camouflaged in all ways through the soot of fear. Now, the soot of fear are what fear has left behind in its wake. Every war fought has left the soot of fear. Every pain you have ever undergone has claimed you in the soot of fear. The soot of fear simply being the detritus of past choice, the memory of past fear, the pain that you have utilized to govern yourselves and others as you make decisions informed by what was once so painful. I will never love again. I will never trust again. I will never be the one who is chosen. I will never have joy. I will never, I will never, I will never. These proclamations made by the small self will govern a reality, and all of them hold the taint of fear. All of them hold the taint of fear that has been accrued through the common field, through the discourse that you have utilized as your behavior, your expectations, and your agreements with others. Agreements with others simply means that you are not a victim to an occurrence as much as you are a participant. That is not to say that people don't do things that are very painful to other people, but it does mean that when you begin to realize that vibrational accord does not mean that you've created it. It simply means that you have aligned to it through a level of tonal agreement. And if you are in a common field, there are many things that are in tonal agreement that the collective must address. When the air is too foul to breathe, you have a collective agreement to air that is too foul to breathe. When you move to why the air is too foul to breathe, you look to the choices that were made in fear. And fear, as greed, may claim many, many things in ways that are deeply challenging. When you understand that the choice to abandon collective authority and adhere to a king or a tyrant or a ruler of any kind may be made in wisdom or in folly, you will understand that the choices that humanity has made throughout time to acquiesce higher judgment, higher awareness to one who seeks to control you is actually present throughout history. When the collective begins to rise as one, and rising would be the title of this class if we were to give it one, we would say that the rising of humanity as a collective is not to action first, it is to awareness first. Awareness precedes action. And the awareness that you are beginning to come to is in an equivalency to the actions that must be taken to remedy, rectify, or reclaim. When something is rectified, it is corrected. When something is reclaimed, it is known anew in a higher way. When the governments that you see in the world or the systems of control that you see in the world are out of balance, they will begin to teeter, because nothing will be held at a certain point that cannot align to the higher energetic field that is now present. It is obstructive, you see, to claim fear in the face of this energy. And the abandonment to fear that many of you are experiencing now is in some ways the action of fear to support itself, because the need for it to be moved is present. When a system begins to fail because the system cannot be held in the higher accord, it may make an enormous noise as it begins to topple. When a government begins to escalate its desires for outcome in any system, the government itself will become the focus of the collective, and any government that is the focus of the collective will begin to hold the energetic alignment that the collective supports it in, whether it be a productive one or a non-productive one. If everybody looked at the one young man in the room and saw him with judgment, the young man would know the judgment. If everyone looked at the same young man with eyes of compassion and love, the young man would be healed in compassion and love. And when the collective, which is no longer divided, begins to move as one to a higher level of tonality, how it reclaims in manifestation that which has been held in darkness will be abrupt and indeed may be challenging. You understand the ideas of revolution as fighting, but a real revolution happens first in consciousness. And consciousness first claims you in awareness of potential. You may experience outrage, you may experience Joy, you may experience anything in the face of what you see. But when the collective begins to wonder why, and begins to question the systems that are present, and when the collective begins to say we think other, and when the collective begins to decide that another way is possible, another will be so. You are less apparent to yourselves as in choice than you in fact are. You think you are governed or ruled and that your choices have been taken from you, but in fact, true self knows itself through will, and true self will support the highest choice in will, and the true self is the only aspect of self that is ever truly sovereign. You wish to say, my body is sovereign, but try that when you step into a crowded train. You may wish to say, my body is sovereign, but say that when the plane that you are riding on is in turbulence and you are thrown up and down without your will being in agreement to it. It simply is. When you understand that true sovereignty is the monad or the divine self, the aspect of you that knows who and what it is and has never been afraid and cannot be coerced in fear, cannot be thrown in prison, cannot be lied to, you will understand that the gift of the monad or the sovereign self is the creative action of source through you. To become the wisdom of the monad is to allow the wisdom of the monad to move through you. It is not to become brilliant or smarter than the one beside you. It is to become informed by the intuitive nature of the monad or the divine self that will not teach you in fear because it does not know fear. When you understand that the aspect of you that does not know fear and has never been afraid is present and can be activated within you through your intention, I have come, I have come, I have come, you will begin to understand that your reliance on this aspect of you, the I am self, the one that has come, is the discipline that you require. Now, to rely on the divine self does not mean that you abandon the intellect. The intellect is also of God. However, the intellect seeks to find itself as superior to almost everything that it encounters. She thinks she knows best. Well, she may know more than the one beside her, but she will guarantee no less than the divine self that is her, that can and will inform the intellect with new potential. When new potential is present and informed, the monad or the divine self come as you will begin to calibrate itself in support of actions that are necessary. Do you understand this? If action is necessary, it is the divine self, the monad within you, that will recalibrate in such a way to support you in action. When you are supported in action at this level, you are operating in your knowing. You are not scrambling for the instruction manual. You are in your knowing. You are not asking your best friend. You are in your knowing. And you're not saying, oh God, figure this out for me now, because you are in your knowing. The monad, the aspect of you that knows, is not afraid, and indeed it knows. Now, because the monad knows does not mean it's going to tell you how to bake a cake or move the car that you parked and forgot where you left it. You must understand that the divine self that is you claims you in its authority and is not operating as your servant. The divine self seeking to inform you in knowing will claim you in action as is required. It may counsel you to stay away. It may counsel you to speak. It may counsel you to stay silent when that is the highest choice you can make. And you will begin to know, which means realize what the highest choice is. When your choices are coming from this level of vibrational tone, everything that you experience will conspire to continue to move you forward. Every choice you make in fear will grant you the great gift of more fear. And as you claim more and more fear, the energetic system that you align to becomes corrupted through the fear. As a system becomes corrupted through the fear, this was once a lovely government, not so much anymore. That was once a lovely place to do business, not anymore. That was once a lovely man, not anymore. Your idea of how things are altered through fear are fairly present. When you congratulate yourself in your agreement to work with a higher tone, I am in my knowing, word I am word, what you choose will lift you to higher choices again and again. It has its own ramification or echo in the collective field. The higher choice, when made, will actually dismantle choices made prior and perhaps known through the lower intention to be frightened, to be angry, to get one's way at the cost of another. We are not saying to you that you are abandoning choice. We are saying that you are aligning choice in a higher agreement. And the higher agreement will claim you in action. Passivity is present when that is required. Action is present when that is necessary as well. If you need to do something, it must be done. If it must be done, you can claim the support and energetic truth that is required to create the momentum in order to do it. The outcome, whatever that must not be your challenge. The outcome is the product of the work that you have done. If the work that you have done has been claimed in the higher, the product should hold the level of tone that the action inherited. In other words, if you bake a cake in love, it will be a lovely cake. If you bake a cake because you wish to damn the ones eating it, they will likely have a very poor taste in their mouth once they touch the fork to their lips. You must understand that the who that you are, the divine self or the monad that knows who it is, does not seek to win. It is not a game that needs to be won. Enlightenment is not a race to be met. Enlightenment is the product, in some ways, of your agreement to support yourself in the awareness of the presence of the divine. How it presents itself is in fact not your business. If you are seeking someone else's idea of enlightenment, in all likelihood you would be disappointed. You have the tales of your great saviors, the ones from all of the different religions, and all of them in scriptures have been challenged in one way or another as part of their passage. No one arrives on a cloud with a glass of champagne and sits there waiting for her fellows to join her. Anyone who says, I am willing to be known in a higher way, supports the self in that knowing. When an action is required to be taken to support the self at that level of tone, the ability to make those choices through action will be known to the individual who is embarking on whatever journey of whatever kind she is invoking. The divine self that knows who it is, what it is, and how it serves, that is free, that is free, that is free, abides in the upper room. It is the monad that abides there, and in its claim, I have come, seeks to integrate itself through the varying aspects of each of you that seek to be delivered to this level of tone along with it. The obstacles that you meet are the willfulness of the personality structure, the desire to be right at the cost of another being wrong, and everything that fear has instructed you to believe. When you move beyond the old edicts that you have agreed to, the world itself begins to alter because you do not anchor the seeds of them in your energetic field. What can and must be outpictured by you must hold an equivalency within the energetic field. The idea of who you are as separate or separate from source in separation abides in the energetic field because the evidence has been accrued through lifetimes. And the abiding in separation has become the expectation of almost all of you. There are cultures still in this world where the people do not know themselves as separate from God. They have been untainted by war and in some ways untainted by the idea of modernity, which has in most ways claimed God as an archaic idea or an obsolete structure or a fool's journey. The ones who know themselves in union operate in union, and they have no question about it. They know themselves as worthy as the one beside them, and they know the tribe, if you wish that, as one vibrational agreement that is bespoken by individual agreement to embody within it. So each of you here who is in restoration now, who is returning to an idea of self in participation to the one note sung, the one note sung being the word that is in manifestation as all things, are supporting everyone you meet and may ever meet through this choice to align. I am in the upper room, the monad sings. I have come, I have come, I have come, it announces. And its announcement, its decree, moves the vibration of the monad to the aspects of self that have been held in density. When the monad is expressing through the self at this level, the following claim is appropriated. Behold, I make all things new, because the vision that the monad holds in the energetic field distills itself, invokes itself in what it encounters. It will be so, the equivalency to the claim of the monad upon the manifest world. God is, God is, God is, the residual outcome. Imagine it as thus: striking a flame, lighting the thing, and then watching the fire support all that it encounters. You are as that divine spark. The spark within you ignites the flame in what it sees, and the fire that is grown is the fire of the Absolute, the source of the very flame that is in your own heart. We say this to each of you now. The teachings you receive through us are operating on multiple levels. While there is instruction in language, we do our best to operate through the man who sits before you. We are also supporting you in vibration. And the class itself is not just a classroom, but it is a level of alignment that you come to in your agreement to listen and partake. The vibration that we support you in as we teach is actually present not only in the words, but in the intention that creates the words. And your adherence to the words at whatever level, however carefully you listen or however carefully you don't, really matters not, because the presence of the tone is here for you to align to. The books we author are transmissions in the same way. They operate the words on the page, invoking tone, the real discourse happening between the reader and the authors of the text as the reader expresses herself through the act of reading. She becomes receptive to the authors, and the authors support her in a dialogue that is actually taking place beyond the pages of the book and beyond even the completion of the book or the completion of the one next to it and the one next to it and the one next to it. The books themselves, if read in order, will actually support you each in a level of tonation that can be experienced by you in a complete way. But we do not demand that you do this. You go as you are called. Anyone who enters into the reading of the text at any level is entering what we say is a one-room schoolhouse, and all are taught at the level that they can be met. The challenge of integrating the newer teachings to some of the students is that they lack the vocabulary that has been authored clearly and very specifically in the earlier text. And because we don't wish to continue to repeat ourselves, we will often forget the language that was initially used in order to speak to the current student in the highest way. It is as if we do not say, see, spot, run, when we are teaching you now is in far longer sentences with far greater depth of meaning. The readers of the text are actually addressed on multiple levels, not only through the reading of the books themselves, but through the interaction that we support you in so that we may support you in your learning. If there is a question you have while you are reading the text, we support you in asking them, and we will seek our best to answer you in the text itself or in your experience of your own life, where the answers may be brought to you very readily. The choice is always yours. The invocation of the monad, I know who and what I am and how I serve, will support you each at the level of agreement that you can come to. To come to this level of agreement is to come to a place of agreement of what else may be known. And what else may be known at this level of choice from where we teach you today on this evening, what is next is the relinquishing of an idea of what was in order to receive what can be. Your idea of what was, who you were, what this world was, what that government was, what that church was, what that husband or wife or child was, can be moved to the higher level of tone, but cannot be moved when your status is to demand it be as it was. When you release the need for things that have been to be as they were, they can and will be lifted. What roots them to the old is your demand that they be as they were. Everything is changing. Everything will continue to change. We have spoken of this for some time. How your experience of change occurs is, in many ways, the idealization that you hold about the potential that is present. If you have already decided it will be hell on earth, get ready for what you don't want to see. If you understand that what is occurring is a product of collective choice and change in equivalency, you may understand that what is going to teeter soon will be the very things that have been claimed in fear. If you can imagine a rock sitting upon a cliff that is seeking to fall and is being held in place with great effort, you will understand that in time that rock may need to fall. And it may make a great sound as it does, and kick up some dust as it does. But that rock, a totem to greed, a totem to control, a totem to fear, a rock made of hatred, a rock made of antagonism, a rock made of bigotry and suffering, that rock may fall. And when that rock falls, those of you who have been fearful of climbing higher because you feared being crushed by the structures that were so oppressive will begin to move and rise as one. You may say this after we speak the words. On this night I say yes to the manifestation of the divine that has come as and through me. And as I say yes, and relinquish my old ideas of what should be, I prepare myself for the open doorway, What comes in its place, what comes in love, what comes in truth, what comes in truth, what comes in agreement to source by any name. I know who I am in truth. I know what I am in truth. I know how I serve in truth. I am free, I am free, I am free. I am in the upper room. I have come, I have come, I have come. Behold, I make all things new. It will be so. God is, God is, God is. Now, if you would imagine, or is present for this class, that everybody who is present for this class is standing in an enormous circle, facing one another, allow yourself to see and be seen, allow yourself to see and be seen. And you may say these words to your fellows, to all who are present, to all who are present, invoke their truth, know them in truth, know them in truth, and say this on their behalf, and say this on their behalf. I know who you are in truth. I know what you are in truth. I know how you serve in truth. You are free, you are free, you are free. You are in the upper room. I see you in the upper room. You have come, you have come, you have come. Behold, I make all things new. It will be so. God is, God is, God is. It is, it is, it is. It simply is. Blessings to each of you. Stop now, please. Period, period, period.